So let's talk about the other disruptor, if you will. I'm friendly with Steve Papazian, who runs physical production at Warner Brothers, and he was telling me a couple of months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago or something, that Warner's had budgeted a movie called Bright that David Ayers was going to direct, and they had worked with David, and Will Smith was going to star in it, and they were budgeting it around $50 million. And then he said he walked into a meeting the next day, and the project had disappeared. It had gone to Netflix, who were paying upwards of $90 million to make the movie. So one of the things that we as independent film producers seem to be facing right now is a reality where a Netflix, you can make a movie, you can make John Wick at Netflix, you can make the sequel to Sicario, you can make Seagull, you can make, I don't know if you can make the Chinese movie, Bill, but you can make a lot of content at a place like this. So what does that do in terms of how you're trying to figure out development? I mean, Leslie, you were talking to me a little bit about that this morning.
Well, I'm happy to have all these buyers and options, and I watch as much on Netflix as I do going to the theater these days as well. So for me, I'm a content creator, and that content can live in a variety of, and be distributed in a variety of different ways. So I'm as happy to sell something to Netflix as I am to open it in 4 theaters on, you know, Yom Kippur for one night and have it go away theatrically, which is sometimes, you know, a theatrical option. So many people are getting their content these days on streaming services, and I think it's just, for me, it's more opportunity. So
Basil, on your Jeremy Renner movie that you're doing with the writer of Sicario, if you had the option of making that the way you are right now at what, 25, something like that?
13.
13. If you had the option of making that at 13, or Netflix gave you 20, what would you do?
Jeez.
I don't know. Don't we have to ask ourselves these questions?
You know, can we split the difference? Okay. You know, I am old-fashioned, and in that I love movies. I love the shared experience of movies. I love going to the movie theater. I love the film process. There's something really exciting about that. So, yeah, if it was that much of a difference, I'm no dummy, and none of us got paid any money on that movie, and who knows if we ever will, and you have to mix those movies up with movies that pay. So, but I think that when it's all said and done, I probably would go for the cheaper version with a theatrical release than having more money on Netflix. You know, it's great. I know a lot of my friends have sold these movies to Netflix, and they always have that same, you know, internal argument, which is, do we take the money and the sure thing, or do we, you know, roll the dice in the theatrical? And right now, I would roll the dice with the theatrical. I'm not dispelling or the Netflix option at all, but I'm kind of a romantic when it comes to movies, and so that's what
Nick, what are the international buyers? What do they think of Netflix? Are they concerned about it?
I think it's an evolving dynamic, right? They're a streaming partner for many independent distributors all over the world. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about Netflix, we have to talk about what that means. If we're talking about the streaming in the States, as it impacts you know, the traditional foreign buyers. So I think every movie's different, and I think you know, further what Basil said, I think you've got different movies might be right for that, and different movies should have or almost require, or you have the traditional theatrical experience. So it's a complicated question because there's no simple answer in that. In Netflix,
let me try to uncomplicate the question. Let's presume that I think it's fair to say that at AFM in November or Berlin the following year, that you might have a movie that Amazon will distribute domestically. Okay, is that going to affect your foreign sales?
Amazon's their approach to the theatrical experience is completely different than Netflix's.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah, so their traditional windowing.
Right.
And it's, you know, they fluctuate between, I think, a 30-day or a 90-day window.
Right.
And the real impact comes, and where you're going, just for edification's sake, is if you've pre-sold your foreign without a domestic distributor on board, the international buyers have the distributors in their territories have an almost impossible time booking the movie in their theaters if it's streamed on Netflix, right? That's the reality of how theatrical distribution works. So that has an impact on how you have to manage that process, and we've been in situations like that, and you have to be true to the creatives and your financial partners and your distributors, and you sometimes in those situations need to try and figure out a situation, okay, that's the right thing for the movie here, how do we allow the distributors to exploit it and maximize the property in their territory? Because the broken window mechanism internationally is not yet, particularly in Western Europe, not at the level that it is here. So we've been in a situation with an action movie where it was going to go what they call day and date here in the States, and we worked with Lionsgate on the movie in order for them to say, you know what, where the movie's going to go wide theatrically, internationally, we don't need to stream it before that. We don't need to have the holdback. So it can go internationally, and the movie had a life, and the movie grossed internationally, and it didn't impact the big fear is piracy here in the States, and it didn't impact it. So you just have every situation's unique,
Right.
And so you have to look at every movie. You know, that's the crazy thing about what everyone here does. To me, it's like building a big office building and putting a movie together. And then when you're done, it's like you don't get it's fully leased, and then you got to tear the building down and start again, right? So that's so every movie is its own entity, and you got to recreate it.